You've probably heard it, right? If you've spent any time at all looking into web development, you've stumbled across the rumor. It's been floating around for years. PHP is dead. But is it really? Let's actually dig in and find out.
So yeah, that's the big question we're tackling. Is PHP truly a dead language? We're going to slice through all the opinions and the noise and just look at the cold, hard data. Is this whole thing a myth or is it reality? Let's find out.
Well, if PHP is dead, it has a really weird way of showing it. Because right now, according to W3Techs, almost 78% of all websites that use a known server-side language are running on PHP. Let me just say that again so it sinks in. Nearly 4 out of every 5 websites you visit are powered by PHP. That doesn't sound like a language on life support. That sounds like the engine that runs the internet.
And we're not talking about small-time websites here. We are talking about absolute titans of the internet. WordPress, the platform that powers a massive chunk of the entire web, that's PHP. The original foundation of Facebook, built on PHP. Wikipedia, the go-to source for, well, everything. It relies on PHP. All in all, we're looking at over 33 million active websites using it today.
Okay, so that begs the question, how does a language born way back in 1995 not just hang on, but actually thrive in today's world? It really just comes down to one simple thing: evolution.
See, the PHP of today is not your grandpa's PHP. The release of PHP 7, that was an absolute game changer. It made the language ridiculously faster and way more efficient. And then came PHP 8, which brought in just-in-time compilation, pushing its performance even further, putting it right up there with some of the newer, so-called cooler languages. So no, PHP hasn't been sitting around collecting dust. It's been in the gym, getting stronger.
But a programming language isn't just about its core code. Its real strength, its real power, comes from its tools, its frameworks, and the community around it. And in the world of PHP, there's one framework that completely changed the game.
Enter Laravel. Taylor Otwell created it back in 2011, and it's got this awesome nickname, the PHP Framework for Web Artisans. And for good reason. It took all the raw power of PHP and wrapped it in this beautiful, modern, and super developer-friendly package.
So why do developers just absolutely love it? Well, honestly, because it just makes building stuff so much easier. It uses something called MVC architecture, which is basically a fancy way of saying it keeps your code clean and organized, especially on huge projects. It has Eloquent ORM, which lets you talk to your database in plain English instead of writing complicated queries. And then there's the Artisan tool, which automates all the boring repetitive tasks. It lets you build powerful, secure, and scalable apps, and do it fast.
All right, so the coders are happy, but what about the people paying the bills, the ones signing the checks? From a business point of view, picking a technology isn't about what's trendy, it's about what works, what's reliable, and what makes financial sense.
And this, right here, is why big companies still bet on PHP. First, it has an incredible track record. We're talking decades of proven reliability on some of the busiest sites in the world. Second, it's open source. That means 0 licensing fees. Plus, there's a huge global pool of talented PHP developers, which makes hiring way easier and more affordable. And finally, it just plays nice with almost any database or platform you throw at it. It's a smart, practical, and financially sound choice.
And what does all that business trust mean for you, a potential developer? Jobs. Lots of them. Just a quick search on a single major job website in South Asia turned up over 32,000 open jobs for PHP developers. This isn't some niche, boutique skill. It's a direct path to a real, in-demand career.
Okay, so we've covered the why it's still so massive and why there's so much demand. But what is it exactly? Let's pop the hood for a second, especially for anyone who might be new to web development.
So PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but its job is actually pretty simple. It's a server-side scripting language, and that server-side part is super important. So what's the difference between server-side and client-side? Think of it like this. PHP is the backstage crew at a concert. It does all the heavy lifting on the web server. It sets up the stage, talks to the database, figures out all the logic before the show even starts for you. Then it sends the finished web page over to your browser. JavaScript, on the other hand, is like the special effects that happen in the audience. It runs inside your browser after the page arrives, handling all the cool animations and interactive bits.
And you know what's amazing?
You can get started with this stuff right now for free. All you have to do is download a package called XAMPP. It gives you a whole web server that runs right on your own computer. You just fire up the Apache server from its control panel, create a new file called index.php in a specific folder, and then you can see your first program run just by typing an address into your browser. It's seriously that simple to get started.
All right, let's bring it all home. We've looked at the numbers, the technology, the tools, and the job market. It's time to circle back to that very first question we asked.
So here's the final verdict. PHP is not dead. It's not even sick. It is simply evolved. It's a mature, incredibly powerful, and modern tool that quietly keeps a huge part of our digital world running smoothly. The story here isn't about death. It's about resilience. It's about adaptation.
So the next time someone tells you that PHP is a dead language, you can just smile, think about that 78%, and remember this classic line. Because when it comes to PHP, its story is far from over. If anything, it's still being written one line of code at a time.